Hello everyone, and welcome back, guys, to another Knowing Wheel podcast. Yes, episode 40 now. We might have got the numbers wrong last week. This is officially episode 40 of Knowing Wheel, and safe to say that there's a lot to go through this week. But of course, as always, I'm joined by my co-host Jamie183. How are we getting on, mate? Anything exciting in your world?
I'm very good.
You're good?
Yeah. Well, I finished my exams, which is all nice. Yeah. Still going. Got a week off before uni. It's brilliant.
He's living life.
Yeah, living it large, working 9 to 5 every day. You love it.
What a way to make a living, as they used to say. All those many, many years ago. I never thought we'd start a podcast and less than a minute in we were making a Dolly Parton reference. But here we are.
Wow.
Friend
of the show.
Exactly. We're going to have her on next week talking about Formula 1. But anyway, yeah, of course, though, as always, quickly, before we dive into this, just got to get my quick little bits out of the way. If you are watching this on YouTube and you do want to download the podcast on Spotify, of course, there will be links down in the comments below, as always. The F1 store as well, of course, is still celebrating their 2022 new lines, of course. We're now over halfway through the winter break. We are closer to Spain. Spain than we were to Bahrain. So that rhymes as well, which is always nice. Spain is where the first test is.
That's not what it means.
We're even closer to that. Yeah, that's very true as well. But yeah, so of course, the new 2022 McLaren merch drop has released over there. And of course, the Chinese New Year bits, there are still a few bits available if you guys are interested. I'm pretty certain...
Go get your Guan Yu Zhou merch.
Go get your Guan Yu Zhou merch. I'm pretty certain the F120 off code is still working, or at least at the time of recording it still is. So you can get 20% off a lot of lines as well. And of course, even if you just click the link down below and obviously have a look on the store, you really do help the channel out, even if you don't buy anything. But yeah, like I said, Spotify links down there as well. Jamie, we've got a lot to get through this week. It's been a busy, weird week, hasn't it, in winter?
Yeah, it's been, for January, a very, very filled week of news. First of all, they announced, it's very confusing, but basically they're doing like a pre-season test in Barcelona, in Spain, obviously.
In Barcelona, in Mexico.
I don't know why that detail was required, but there we go. And yeah, there's no media coverage. There's not even like live timings at all. So it's basically like a shakedown for the teams to have a few more laps in the cars before the first actual test in Bahrain.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking? Yeah. So everyone kicked off on Twitter because it's not being shown. Obviously, in February, you've got nothing better to do than watch cars going around at about 50% of their ability. So yeah, do you have any massive thoughts on the no media stuff, or what?
Well, the reason was, what I've read online, of course, behind all this is the fact that Bahrain has bought exclusive rights to pre-season testing. That's why it's being done in the way it's being done. But
right,
to be honest, I mean, I had that week off work anyway, so I was probably going to tune in and watch a fair bit of winter testing. But it would have been really, really interesting to see both Spain and Bahrain in comparison to each other, because they're obviously two very different tracks.
Yeah, I mean, you can never read that much into pre-season testing. We've said that
of course.
Already in January, and we're going to be saying it about 100 times through February, I'm sure. But yeah, or January as we record, of course. But, yeah, pre-seasons, everyone gets hyped for it, but it's like as soon as you get to the first race weekend, you just forget it completely.
Yes,
but there we go.
Yeah, for the most part, isn't it? I mean, Ferrari spent most of the early turbo hybrid era going quickest in pre-season testing, and that never amounted to anything as well there. But yeah, I mean, I can understand why people are upset by it, but I can also understand, of course, if these deals have been done with Bahrain, of course, that completely overrides anything else. It's a shame, like we often say in Formula 1 now, that the money has such an impact on everything. But of course, F1's a business.
And it kind of always has. It's just, it's more in the public light now.
Exactly. As they're exposed themselves more to social media, of course, it is even more important. And of course, for me now, that's a good thing. If F1 chase the bag, hopefully their share price goes up. I now officially own Formula 1, Jamie. So
get some stonks going.
Exactly. I'm hoping this season there's an 18-way scrap for the championship.
Did you actually buy those shares?
I've actually got shares in Formula 1 now.
Wow.
Yeah, I own a small...
Tell your friends about F1.
Exactly. If you get people in Formula 1, then hopefully I'll be able to afford ramen at the end of the month or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world, is it? It would have been nice to have, but for me, it would have just had to been another week paid of Now TV as well.
Yeah.
But
so, not massive news really. I'm not bothered at all by it.
No, and let's be fair, there's probably going to be a leak of some sort, isn't there, from Spain anyway?
Someone will go to Barcelona and just film it,
break into the track,
Twitch or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm gutted because I was genuinely tempted to go to Barcelona.
Well, the tickets are super cheap for pre-season. Always.
Well, pre-season you basically just break in, don't you?
Yeah, like there's no security or anything.
No.
But there we go.
But yeah, so obviously a change of format then to winter testing. We'll obviously hopefully get more insight of Bahrain. Obviously, when's that? I think that's the weekend after, isn't it? It's not far behind.
It's not far, no.
I think it's either like
quickly.
I think one's like the Wednesday to the Friday.
Third week of Feb or something.
Yeah, so that's like the 18th to the is it? No, I think it's the week after, isn't it? It's like the 24th, I want to say. I'm gonna have to Google this now, otherwise it's really gonna bug me.
Definitely mid-Feb. I mean, all the cars are coming out within the next 2 weeks or so,
I thought it was the end of Feb, the first test. And if you type F1 winter testing in on Google, the top thing that comes up, oh no, it's for the actual Grand Prix, but the first thing that comes up is Spanish GP tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah,
like I said then, the first Barcelona test is 23rd to the 25th of Feb. Pre-season testing, there was the 10th to the 12th in Bahrain. So there is a bigger gap than we thought there was then.
10th to the 12th of
March.
What, March?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's only a week before the Grand Prix, which is rather interesting.
Yeah, speaking of changes of format to testing, we've also got, very subtle changes of format to the race weekend in terms of 90-minute practice sessions are back. But more importantly than that, according to Zach Brown, which is old news now because we forgot to mention it last week, but sprint races may not be a thing, which I'm sure is music to some people's ears. I don't know what our opinions are. I know for me, I wasn't that fussed about them really. Like they were entertaining. They were more entertaining than a practice session, which is what they replaced, obviously. But if you massively care about the DNA of the sport and all that stuff, then I'm guessing they like that it's gone. What are your thoughts, Matt?
I had a really odd love, and I hate to admit this, I had a really odd love for sprint races. And some of it was genuinely just because I remember the British Grand Prix weekend being sat. It was a beautiful evening. It must have been about 25 degrees at home. And I was sat on a Friday night watching qualifying. And I was like, this is an absolute vibe. I love this. We kind of got a bit screwed because, the first two sprint races were a bit dull, weren't they? To be honest.
I didn't watch the second one. I watched the first one at the track.
Yep.
So that was good fun. But yeah, the third one was incredible at Brazil.
Yes.
Fair play.
Yeah, of course.
But, I mean, it's a bit gimmicky, isn't it? It didn't make much difference to the grid that much.
No.
Brazil being an anomaly, but that's not going to happen that often.
Yeah.
So,
it
won't make much difference, I don't think.
And I think the other important thing was that a lot of people haven't considered with this, which I know we've briefly touched upon a couple of times, but I can't remember if it was Formula One themselves or someone confirmed that someone high up in Liberty Media had said pretty much every Grand Prix venue wanted a sprint race for this year. Because because you get people into the track on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And that sort of got my mind racing a bit, because you think tracks like Malaysia, for example, that struggle to get the tickets sold, a sprint race at Malaysia or Shanghai would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, because if you've ever been to a race weekend, you can just tell by not even knowing numbers, but just by the vibe of the track. Yeah. Friday is dead compared to Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been to 3 races, and one of them we only arrived on Saturday, and the other 2 Friday was dead. So apart from this year, obviously, because Silverstone had everyone there because it was crazy. But yeah, it would make a massive difference to the actual tracks, especially for the ones that struggle for money, which I'm sure Brazil appreciated this year quite a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too fussed either way, to be honest, if they stay or go, but we'll see.
No, it's such a weird thing, isn't it? Looking in hindsight, I'm happy they tried it. Put it that way. Yeah. I think it was a cool idea. I know a lot of people weren't a fan of it, and I can completely understand that. But I was happy it was. Let's be fair, it was a bit of a gimmick at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it wasn't one I felt that overstepped the line, where I felt like F1's integrity was completely getting torn apart.
Yeah, because it barely made a difference to the grid. at all
Yeah.
in any race, really.
Exactly.
So,
But like they said,
Valtteri Bottas is the all-time sprint GOAT.
He is, isn't he? Yeah. kind of mad, that one, isn't it? But
yeah,
it's like pretty much every team. This is the problem as well, isn't it? Nowadays, if you think if they'd done that 20 years ago, it could have been well and truly spicy because no one obviously. But where you've got all the simulator data, everything now, you like most of the teams said even before Britain. Obviously, they went. It's basically just a 15-lap race with a red flag and then a normal Grand Prix. And obviously, they already all knew exactly how to prepare for it and everything like that, which was a bit of a shame. But that's just the way Formula One works nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, so they might. I mean, it's not confirmed yet. They could be back for 2022, or they might not be.
No,
but we'll see.
No, exactly. Speaking of restructuring, though, Jamie, the FIA.
That segue was so smooth.
It was the smooth as butter, that segue. It must be said. The FIA restructure as well has been coming in. I know you've been sort of reading into this a little bit more than me. Would you mind just sort of going into more depth than what this is exactly about? Otherwise, I'll butcher it.
Yeah. Basically, people are saying, well, the voices in the media are saying that Michael Massey probably won't return as race director, which I'm sure you're very happy about.
I mean, it would have been insane for him to return in the same capacity.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, they're actually using a bit of common sense in terms of this investigation, as far as I can tell, because they basically said, oh yeah, it's quite a bad idea to have one person run the entire thing, which Charlie Whiting did an unbelievable job for many, many years, and I think we took that for granted, very much so. So you try and replace him with another one person who's less good at it, and it all goes wrong quite quickly. So it'll probably be like split into different roles, maybe some of them about the safety or when the safety car gets deployed and stuff like that. Some of them might be race direction in terms of managing the stewards or whatever, basically just delegating the roles into like 3 or 4 different people. This is all according to the owner of Liberty Media. He's
Chase
Middle
Carey.
Eastern. I can't
No,
remember
not
his name.
Chase Carey.
No, he's definitely not Middle Eastern. I can't remember his name, but
you don't mean Ben Al-Sulayem, do you?
Yes,
he's not the head of Liberty.
Oh,
he's the new FIA boss.
Yes, that's him. Yeah, yeah. Apparently, I don't know as much about this as I thought I did. But no, he did an article on the BBC or did an interview on it, which was saying a lot about trying to basically improve the processes that the FIA go through on a race weekend, which is absolutely necessary, as we saw from last season. Not even just Abu Dhabi, just generally.
There were so many failings,
pretty bad,
weren't there?
Yeah.
So many. What I wanted to add on to that then, Jamie, I've just sort of a bit of a side point here. Is it finally time F1 get a consistent stewards panel for every race of the year? Because let's be fair, over the more recent years as well, it has felt more and more inconsistent, and that surely cannot be helped by the fact that the stewards are refreshed and changed each week.
Yeah, I think it's... I mean, this is a very long stretch of a metaphor, but when I used to do league racing stewarding, it was the driest thing in the world, and I hated doing it. So it's... I mean, I guess they're going to get paid really well, obviously, and follow the F1 circus around, which is a bit different from writing on a forum once a week. But I can see if people don't want to do it, like, that it might be hard to find people, but yeah, the current method... No, if you're getting employed by the FIA, it must be quite nice.
Yeah.
I'll do it for them if they want.
Oh, yeah, we'll go in. This is our official notice in.
Application to the FIA. Please employ us.
We'll travel the world with you next year.
I think it's definitely a good idea. Like, they always have, is it 4 stewards, one of which is a former driver, usually someone Martin Brundle knows because he always mentions him on commentary. I don't know. It probably is a good idea because the inconsistency is pretty outrageous. Like, even thinking like basically depending on what sort of runoff you get pushed into quite often. Yeah. Which just isn't how I like stewarding to be done. But yeah, there we go. I'd be surprised if it happens for this season, but I guess in the restructuring maybe it will. Yeah, you gotta hope so. And again, I think a lot of these decisions of course won't be made overnight, will they? But no, not at all. Hopefully we're gonna see some change for the better in the long run within the sport, which is going to be really, really helpful to see. Yeah. We've got more confirmed
reveals, Jamie, as well, though, from the teams. 2 more
Do
this
you want
week.
to run us down? I have no idea when they are, so it's all of you.
So, AlphaTauri, they've decided that they're going to be the only thing I'm going to be looking at on Valentine's Day this year. They're going to be released
same.
on Feb 14th. We'll do it together then, Jamie. We're going to cover
like
it on the podcast. Exactly. So, yeah, Alpine have confirmed their car is going to be revealed on the 14th of February. Alpine, the L plan is complete, I reckon. They're releasing it on 212 Day, otherwise known as my birthday. Yes,
wow.
For those of you that didn't know why I have 212 in my channel name, it's that lack of creativity. My birthday is just the 21st of Feb, so that's why Alpine are releasing it then. I'm joining the team. I'm going to steer them through with all my F1 2021 My Team knowledge, and we're going to win a world title together next year. Watch this space.
Fernando Alonso, title number 3. It would
Three-time
actually be
champion.
incredible. I would really rate it. I'm not a massive Alonso fan, but it must be, if I mean, hypothetically, Alpine turned up with the best car.
Yep.
Alonso wins the championship.
Yep.
Surely that's the record for the longest time.
By a
between
long
championships.
shot. I'm pretty certain Lauda still has the record, and that was, 7 years?
Yeah. So from, 06 to 2022, that's, like, people could have been born since then.
More? No, I think it was 1977, 1984, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously Hamilton wasn't far behind that. Schumacher wasn't far behind that either.
No, I guess not, yeah.
It's kind of
but
mad.
no one's ever done more than 10 years, and it would be 16 years for Alonso. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, God,
But
that's worrying, isn't it?
obviously, Alpine might turn up with the slowest car. We don't actually know. But yeah.
L plan. Get
We
Alonso
trust
out of the
L
sport.
Yeah. More news. Talking of Fernando Alonso, one of his better circuits, Singapore, is here to stay.
Yeah, first
apparently.
debut winner. Singapore.
Yeah, won the first ever Grand Prix
No
there.
controversy there. Imagine if F1 Twitter had been around then. Imagine.
Well, Nico Rosberg was the deserved winner of that race, finishing second, obviously.
He got saved as well by the safety car, though, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he benefited.
Yeah.
He didn't cause it though. Like the safety car.
Well, Alonso didn't cause the safety car.
Yeah, but yeah, it's here to stay. I really like. I love Singapore. It's one of my favourite races of the season. So I'm happy to see it stay.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Like Singapore is certainly one of those tracks that it is an event.
Yeah.
Never very that good a race, though, is it?
No, I mean for me, I really like Monaco. Singapore's basically just Monaco
With the chat,
at
something
night,
will
so the
happen.
cars look better.
Yeah.
And like you can actually pass if you do get stuck behind someone.
Yes, yeah.
So
And,
I don't
of
know. I
course,
really like Singapore.
Another track where qualifying is really good to watch.
Yeah, very very good.
So yeah, Singapore though, like we said, extended till 2028. Actually, quite a good little extension there from them. Yeah, I don't really know. Sort of when we look at Singapore, I think it's obviously here. I mean, 20 years then it'll been on the calendar, which is kind of
That's
mad when you think
crazy.
about it, isn't it?
It still feels like a new track. That's mad. I'm old.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Could it? I'm trying to think whether it could desperately do with some tweaks though. But obviously it's a street track, so you can't really do a lot. But I'm just sort of looking at the layout of it, thinking.
I think the last sector maybe make it a bit more smooth, like under the stadium section, like turn.
Get rid of that double chicane, I reckon. Make it straight
yeah.
across.
And then maybe make turn one a bit more open, or a bit more close, sorry, like a more of a hairpin. And then you maybe have a chance into that.
I was also thinking, round where the Singapore sling used to be, get rid of the next tight right-hander and just make it a faster flowing section into the Anderson Bridge.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the problem is that should really be an overtaking zone over the bridge, and then the next right-hander.
Yeah.
But because the straight is so short, and it's basically from a standing start almost, from like 60 mile an hour, basically.
It's basically just a squirt
It's
throttle and
impossible.
send it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Felipe Massa style. OG.
That was incredible. Best move.
I mean, he
ever.
was by accident, wasn't it? I'm pretty certain
Yeah.
Massa admitted, because he was just
And
on
he was
full opposite
horrendously
line.
out of control.
Exactly, because was it Senna or was it Maldonado?
It was Bruno Senna.
It was Senna,
Bruno
because he
Senna.
literally hit
Squeezed
side
him
pot,
into the
didn't he?
barrier.
Yeah. Oh god, so much nostalgia as always.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Speaking of tracks, though, an interesting one. This one, Jamie. I was quite surprised to read this week. Las Vegas could be coming to Formula One. We're really going from oil money to gambling money.
Yeah, that would be so fun. I would love a race in Las Vegas just for the fun of it, really. I mean,
It would either be incredible or completely awful.
yeah, it reminds me of when Miami were trying. That's been scrapped now, isn't it?
Miami?
Oh no,
Miami's on the
first...
calendar.
No,
Miami's
I mean the
locked
first
in.
track at Miami. The one that they did like prototypes of the first track, and Hamilton, it was basically over a motorway bridge and back again.
Oh god, yeah, I remember that. I did someone put that on Assetto Corsa, so I did a video on it, and then I got absolutely lambasted because it turns out the track was the wrong way around.
Yeah. Was that?
Yeah, someone had modded it in back to front.
That's a stupid mistake to make,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I
mean, Miami should be fun. Kota will be always fun. I mean, I think 3 races in one country might be a bit overkill, but it's a very big country.
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it? They're really, really pushing the US market. I think
I haven't seen any track maps yet. I don't think they exist.
No, not yet. They want it going down the strip though. They have confirmed that.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. That'd be so cool.
I mean, imagine that, just Martin Brundle or David Croft going, and under the fake Eiffel Tower they go. It's just about...
I'm just imagining Ted Kravitz on the grid just blending in.
Oh, no.
The Las Vegas lifestyle.
It's just there you with a load of chain-smoking old people that are wondering where the next fruit is going to be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, apparently, it's meant to be... They're looking at 2023, I think they said originally.
Yeah, I saw 23.
But 2024 looks
soon.
more likely.
Yeah, 2023 seems very soon.
Well, it's next year.
It's next season, and depends on when in the calendar it would be, obviously. But yeah, 2024, Las Vegas. The problem is with getting all these new tracks is that some are going to drop off. And
this is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. I'm just quickly having a look back of the last time F1 hosted 3 Grand Prix in America.
It's probably like 80s.
It was 90. I'm pretty certain it was 1984, but I feel like pretty much every race had something that went badly wrong for it. But I'm just trying to remember.
All street tracks, weren't they, in the 1980s? So people
yeah.
Cars broke down at the time because it was too hot in one of the tracks, and like.
So you had Detroit, Dallas. Did they have another one in 84? Doesn't look like they did. Why did I think there were 3?
Would it not have been Caesar's Palace, or was that?
Oh no, that was 82, wasn't it? I think I'm a couple of years too far in front. Because I think Detroit was only ran like once, or Dallas. No, Dallas I think was only ran once because the track just completely burned out because of the IMSA race beforehand on the day before. Well, the USA has the record for the most number of tracks raced at for one country. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Which is, and they're going to add 2 more to that in the next 3 years if this is to be believed.
Here we go. Sorry, it was 1982. So you had the US Grand Prix West, which was Long Beach. I mean, it looks like an awful layout at Long Beach they've done for this, but what is that layout? Sorry, I've just seen this. It's completely thrown me off. That Long Beach has changed, man, and for the better.
Well,
I tell you what,
40 years since then, to be fair.
Yeah, but I mean, even Long Beach now, yeah. That was Grand Prix number 3 of the year. Then you went back to Belgium, Monaco, and San Marino, and then they went to Detroit, which was
that was another street track.
Was that the track that went over a bridge? Oh no, over a train track, or was that Dallas?
It was the one where someone spun around and then carried on.
No, that was Keke Rosberg. That was at Long Beach.
Oh, never mind.
And then,
I'm getting very sidetracked here.
Of course, the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, the ultimate meme.
Oh, what a race.
How that track had...
FIA Grade 1.
But I think, how on earth did it stay on the calendar for more than 1 year? Was incredible.
Of course, that was Las Vegas. I forgot
that. Yeah, that was Las Vegas. We're going back to Caesars Palace.
If you have never watched or don't know what Caesars Palace is, just put it into YouTube. It's basically a race around a car park outside a casino. It's horrendous.
It was the dumbest thing. Like Formula One, it's arguably up there as one of the dumbest things Formula One's done in terms of like a venue.
Yeah,
it did because the thing was as well, no one knew in America what Formula One was still, so they were basically looking at some not Indy cars that were going around a car park, and no one watched it at all.
Yeah, it was awful.
It was.
I mean, we weren't around in '82 to tell you that, but from watching YouTube,
exactly,
it's terrible.
It's also where Carlos Reutemann lost his championship, wasn't it, to Keke Rosberg?
Yeah, it must have been.
I mean, it doesn't add much to the conversation, but it's also what happened, I suppose.
It meant that the Rosbergs are the only father-son champions apart from the Hills.
Apart from the Hills, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Do you know every driver that's racing in Formula 1 with the surname Hill has won a world title?
That's a good going. That's very good going.
Graham,
Obviously
Damon, and Phil.
Yeah. Pretty decent.
Again, doesn't add much to the conversation, but
No,
this is
it
the
doesn't.
kind of pointless stuff I know. Perfect for a Formula 1 podcast.
Talking of pointless, look at that segue.
Oh, that was
Unbelievable stuff.
Fair play, I wouldn't have come up with that.
Yeah, Thursdays in the F1 world are now gone. I mean, they still exist in the real world, but yes, they're being moved to Friday. So the media day has been scrapped. It's been put into an hour and a half block before first practice to get all of your media work done, which is not at all a bad thing.
I don't get why people are worried about this.
Yeah, not at all.
The thing is, they're doing 23 races next year. You think if you have to get the last bits in on a Thursday night, and that includes, reassembling Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, just I'm sorry. Surely a lot of people aren't watching the actual media day. I mean, where can you even watch it?
I don't think you can.
Is it even available?
It's not live
watch?
broadcast anyway.
No.
And you will still get the same content just a day later.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference.
It makes no difference at all, and also makes it way easier for the teams because there's an extra day to do traveling in transit.
Yeah.
There's an extra, a day less for every member of staff in the entire paddock. 23 less days working a year is a nice thing.
Yep.
So there's no downside. I don't see why people are annoyed, but this is F1 Twitter for you. So if you're not on it, stay away.
Exactly. It also means as well, because this was sort of a bit of a weird side announcement that was confirmed with this week, Monaco is being pushed into a 3-day weekend, which Monaco was always a bank holiday weekend. I mean,
I didn't know that.
It was...
What, in the UK?
No.
Or in Monaco?
In Monaco.
Right. I was going to say. I mean, there'll be no massive parties on this Thursday night anymore, will there?
Which I think's kind of... Again, it was sort of always that weird one, isn't it? Of Monaco Grand Prix, think, it's Thursday, I'll watch practice. But now saying that, I feel like I've been able to watch it the last couple of years, and I work Thursdays. So I'm not sure that's changed anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the drivers never go that crazy anymore anyway with parties, but they'll still be doing something on Friday night, I imagine, just for the sake of it, to go and dress up like...
Well, they got to do all the
ambulance
stuff, isn't it? Yeah. And all that sort of thing. But
get your face in the papers.
Exactly. Let's go to it. This is our application as well. If you want us on the catwalk at the Amber Lounge...
If you work at the Amber Lounge, we are two models ready to...
Hit us up. We are down and we are ready to party. We're going to be like James May when he's talking about Hammersmith.
Oh,
when he's in Monaco on that boat. It's very much like Monaco, actually.
Mr. Tim O'Glock.
Which my mum for many years thought was a team. She always used to ask, how's that O'Glock team doing? Genuinely.
We're getting horrendously sidetracked.
We really are.
We do apologise.
Another weird sort of announcement this week then. Honda, after leaving Red Bull at the end of this year, that dramatic championship, for many wrong reasons that they were able to claim, have now said they're going to continue fully supplying Red Bull until 2025. It's basically Brawn 2.0, isn't it? Now, Honda are going to...
I kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, exactly. Honda are going to suddenly build a rocket ship next year and they're not going to get any credit.
Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, it's engine freeze anyway this year, isn't it? But the year after.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of tell throughout the year they've been saying more and more we might stick around, we might help out Red Bull a bit.
Yeah.
And then now they win a championship and they're in for the long haul. So I don't know what that means for Red Bull powertrains. I guess they still have to be...
But it's still going to be branded as Red Bull powertrains. It's just going to be Honda are sending it over and then they're just putting stickers over it.
Yeah, like when they had Capure to cover up the fact that it was powered by Cyril Abiteboul.
Yes.
So
Cyril Abiteboul.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a Red Bull fan because I have a lot more faith in Honda making engines than Red Bull.
I mean,
personally, the drinks manufacturer.
This could mean that come 2025, Red Bull are well and truly screwed.
How come?
Well, if they've had no experience to try to do anything to build an engine up to that point.
Oh, yeah. But say they dominate the sport between now and then, Honda will stick around even longer, won't they?
Oh, I don't think. It depends what dramatic change they make next, doesn't it? Because I still think they're going to go to Porsche for 2025. Hence why...
VW. It's the same people, isn't it?
No.
No, it's not. I think VW then.
I think VW are going to go to McLaren and Red Bull are going to go Porsche. Hence why, as well as now owning Formula 1, I also now own Porsche. Genuinely, I've made investment decisions based on Formula One. How dumb am I?
I mean, to be fair, it's a good strategy because you know a lot more about F1 than you do about like Bitcoin.
Well, exactly.
Or any
Exactly.
other crypto. Like,
I thought I'm going to actually make some investment decisions, based on Formula One. So if you see me buying a lot of Porsche Red Bull hats in the future, and suddenly I've become not Lungard.
Capure watch on your wrist.
When obviously we all get on board the Hauger hype train, and he brings home 16 titles to Porsche, and my share price goes up 1,000,000%.
You're living
We're going to be
in
balling,
Monaco.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Living the dream, baby. You said you feel confident in Red Bull, though.
No, I did. Well,
you just did. Don't try and change your words now.
Hang on. What do you think I said?
You said you now feel more confident in Red Bull over the next few years.
Yeah. I mean, I have more faith in Honda than I do in Red Bull powertrains.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Right. Okay.
So that makes me more hopeful because when you're starting something from scratch, there's a high chance it goes wrong in Formula One.
I think we're talking about completely different things here. I was trying to set up a perfect segue to the next discussion point.
Apologies. I thought you just didn't know what I said. Never mind.
We were doing so well up to then.
Yeah.
Let's start that again, Jamie. Let's refocus and get back into the... Yeah, that was definitely a find it and grind it kind of gear change. Right. So, Jamie, you're saying you feel a lot more confident in Red Bull this year. Is that right?
Yes, Matt, I am actually. I think they're going to win the championship.
Now, interestingly enough, Jamie, Red Bull this week, it's been highly rumoured, failed the crash test for their 2022 car. It's apparently they've found all the pace they did in the R16B. Yes, it bugs me they've missed the RB17. We've jumped straight to RB18.
Yeah, this is RB18 now, isn't it?
But apparently, it didn't pass the crash test.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if this news is true to begin with. We also don't know... Well, we basically do know it's not going to make any difference to anything.
I mean, unless they have to turn it to the first race of the year with bricks on the front wing to make sure it passes.
Because that'd be way safer than carbon fibre, wouldn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's one of these slow news weeks that you often get in winter where they publish any article they want. So I'd be surprised if there's any difference made to the car generally or the season as a whole. So if you come back to us in November and we won't even remember that's even a news article.
No, exactly. But of course, perhaps that explains why we haven't got a Red Bull release date yet.
Yeah. So they're still waiting to announce, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, we've got 4 more to go, haven't we? Now, Williams, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, and
Haas. I think.
Haas. Yeah.
Or maybe they have.
Red Bull are setting themselves up to be backmarkers this year, aren't they? An esteemed company there. But yeah, like you said though, we've seen rumours about Red Bull not passing it. We've seen more rumours about them, to be fair. There were a couple of ones about Ferrari and Mercedes not passing the new squeeze test this year for side impacts, which was rather interesting. Then Mercedes completely just swept that under the rug with a tweet literally a couple of hours ago before this podcast saying the W13 completed homologation on January 13th. And of course, that's getting revealed on the 18th of February, before we forget. Of course, Jamie and I will be back reacting to all the liveries when they are released.
Absolutely.
But it kind of brings us on then to one of our final sort of actual news talking points before we go into a couple of other little discussions. Ferrari apparently, I mean, we're all aboard Ferrari being true frontrunners again this year. Apparently, they've got a better engine than everyone. According to an article Jamie has linked me. I'm going to make that very clear.
Mean, yeah, as a former history A-level student, I did not check the source of this at all. I saw it retweeted onto my timeline and copied it to Matt. So
it was by a Turkish Twitter account with 120,000 followers.
Yeah, so it's slightly credible. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but yeah. It's only about the power units. Ferrari say they found something in the power unit, which, I mean, they did that in 2019. It turned out to be illegal. So
never got confirmed, but yeah, it was. I love how people can argue against that still. You're like, how did they suddenly lose so much time over one weekend?
Yeah. And then at one winter as well, going from second fastest car to about 7th fastest car.
Yes, yeah.
But we'll wait and see. Obviously, plenty of newspapers basically write random predictions in their papers to get some clicks.
Yeah.
Alpine fastest car next year.
Hence why we've titled this video how Alex Albon is going to win the 2022 World Championship. Williams have discovered they can put 6 turbos in the car.
Yep, Latifi's going to beat him because he's the GOAT. So, yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's so much speculation in a minute. Brand new cars, basically brand new formula, and no car's been revealed yet at all. No one knows anything about the pecking order at all. And we won't until qualifying 3 in Bahrain. So
and even that doesn't always tell the full picture. It takes a few races.
At all.
We got to learn what's going on. I miss the good old days between like F1 2008 and 2009, where like there would be dramatic changes of pace over the course of the year.
Week to week, yeah.
Those
Toyota Run 2 in Bahrain in quali. We love that.
Yeah, 09, wasn't it?
Because they had about an ounce of fuel on board.
Exactly, and then completely threw away the race pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so is this Ferrari's year? Are we all aboard the how the hype train? Only one of those is definitely true. Yep. Let's go into, again, this is obviously the Knowing Wheel podcast. So far we've spoke about news. Let's talk more, well, we call it opinions, but of course we know these things, so they're not really opinions, Jamie.
Yeah, just preemptive facts is what I prefer to call
it. Exactly. There's a handful of drivers on the grid for 2022 that this is well and truly make or break for them, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the same every year. Obviously, F1 is a massive
sport.
Pressure kettle anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if you don't perform at all, you're going to get dropped quite quickly. But there's certain drivers which this is definitely like last year of contract maybe, or they underperformed last year, they've got to pick it up. So, yeah, we're going to do a quick discussion about who we think is under pressure. So why don't you start us off?
Well, we've picked out 3 today, haven't we?
Yeah.
So let's start then. 2 of them are quite similar, so I think it's fair we put those together. Let's just go through the order that we had them down then, Jamie. First up, 2022 make or break, surely, is Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, I think so. Just mostly, in my opinion anyway, like, he's a fully capable driver, everyone knows that, but for value for money, almost. I mean, obviously, McLaren aren't exactly tight.
They haven't been brilliant in recent years.
They've not been brilliant, no. But, yeah, for the amount of money they're paying Daniel Ricciardo, compared to Lando Norris, especially, he has to be basically trouncing him, which didn't happen last year at all.
Or at the very least, level.
At the very least, matching, yeah. Like, I think Ricciardo's the 3rd highest paid driver in the sport, or maybe 4th.
4th, I think, now, because obviously Alonso's come back on an insane contract.
True.
How on earth Alpine have... They must have spent so much time looking down the back of the sofa for 20 mil to pay Alonso. Yeah. It's kind of mad.
Crazy. But yeah, Ricciardo's paid a hell of a lot of money compared to Lando Norris, and he's underperforming last year anyway. So hopefully, I mean, I don't think he'll be out of the sport. I think there'll be teams that want to pick him up. But in terms of his career at McLaren, it's... yeah, going to be interesting, especially as McLaren's one of those teams where if people are kicked out of other seats, the likes of, like, my mind immediately goes to like Perez or Gasly could easily be out of their teams at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like, McLaren are the sort of team that would think we can pay Perez or Gasly about 1/5 what we're paying Ricciardo, and they won't do much worse. So
Perez going back to McLaren? Reckon that's possible?
That. It could be possible. You heard it here first. Maybe not.
And probably last. Must be added as well, of course, Ricciardo actually came out in quite an interesting interview this week discussing that he does completely see his future with McLaren. And I think this is something that, of course, we absolutely, bless him, love him to bits. We went completely wild for Carlos Sainz last year. But I think what we forgot about, and a lot of people forgot about as well, was Ferrari... weirdly, because this is so un-Ferrari, was so wildly accommodating to Carlos Sainz, which none of the other teams were for their new drivers.
Yeah.
Sainz said he was allowed to use his like McLaren clutch things at Ferrari, like the clutch paddles and things like that. They completely redid the steering wheel for him. And obviously, like Ricciardo and other drivers said, they got none of that to the teams they moved to. This is why Sainz was so strong with Ferrari, where other drivers really struggled.
Yeah, Sainz was definitely the best of the ones that moved teams. I think like Vettel,
by a long shot.
Perez, Ricciardo all really struggled for especially the start of the season. Sainz was hit the ground running.
Sainz, yeah, took the first couple of weekends, he struggled a bit at Imola, didn't he? But then you sort of got towards Spain, Monaco, and he was on it.
Yeah.
Pretty much from then on. And of course, Charles Leclerc was probably, out of all those drivers that did move teams, the best teammate to be going up against, or the hardest teammate to go up against.
Yeah, for sure. And we just rated Leclerc above Norris, so that'll get the Twitter going.
Exactly. I mean, it's facts still at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah,
For now.
it is.
Don't get me wrong, Lando could easily be Leclerc's level, but Leclerc is, I still rate as proper gravy.
Third best on the grid.
Yeah, certainly right in that debate, isn't he? Looking though at the three drivers we got though, Ricciardo is definitely the one I believe will step up this year.
I think I have for the I mean, the end of last season he was picking it up slowly. There were still some off weekends, but like I think he had top 5 finishes in the second half of the season.
Lando went downhill as well a bit. Ever since Russia.
Had a lot of bad luck as well. Lando.
That's also very true.
But yeah, Ricciardo, he absolutely has the ability to pick it up.
Oh yeah,
he's 8-time race winner for a reason. 9, yeah.
I think.
One of only 2 drivers to win with 2 different manufacturers in the hybrid era.
Him and Perez,
which is pretty ridiculous, really. But yeah, I think he'll pick it up. The other thing, certain drivers have people breathing down their necks with waiting for a seat, basically like Piastri or Alpine is one of them. But McLaren don't really have any one, like potentially Pato Award, but I think he's a bit too young still.
Yeah.
To go straight into an F1 seat.
Pato is one of those really odd ones where I'd love to see him get an F1 seat, but I just can't see McLaren ever taking the risk. As much as I would love to see him.
Yeah, there's so many junior Formula, like direct junior series drivers from F2 coming up that I don't think someone from IndyCar will get a look in.
No. And I think this is the other thing, isn't it, as well, when you look at Ricciardo, because I can genuinely see him being a driver that does other projects with McLaren when he's done with Formula 1. I can see him go into IndyCar for a couple of years doing that sort of thing. I can see him doing the Bathurst 12 hours back at home and things like that as well. And I think Ricciardo and McLaren are one of those odd little combos where a bit like McLaren with JB, wasn't it? Like, he's iconic with McLaren for us now, but until he moved there, you never would have thought he would have ended up there.
Yeah, and he was he was almost more valuable to McLaren as a brand.
Yeah.
Because he did so much good work PR-wise that he was obviously a good driver as well, but towards the end, especially when they had not much to fight for on track, he was so useful for the team in terms of
keeping morale up as much as anything else, isn't it? Yeah. Speaking of someone else that's basically just here... Oh, no, that's a bit brutal, isn't it? Speaking about someone else only here for PR.
I know who you're going to say.
Sebastian Vettel's surely got to find something this year.
Yeah. He's got to. I mean, he wasn't terrible. We're not saying... he obviously beat his teammate, but his teammate is Lance Stroll at the end of the day. He's a 4-time champion, 3rd most wins of all time in F1.
Yep.
He should be beating some billionaire's kid.
Yep.
Not to disrespect Lance Stroll, who's a capable driver, but yeah, he should be doing better. I don't see him getting the boot, but similar to Ricciardo, he's on huge money and didn't really surpass expectations that much compared to Stroll.
This is the thing, wasn't it, with Seb? He had a couple of brilliant races. Let's not forget, like I always point out, had Lance not had his puncture at Baku, they probably would have basically been tied on points come the end of the year. And you can talk about Hungary all you like. Rules are rules.
Disqualifications happen.
Exactly.
So get over it.
Make sure you put enough fuel in your car.
Yep.
Not that difficult, surely.
Yeah, and Aston Martin, again, is one of those ones where they're pumping so much money into every aspect of their team that if there is another driver, say Gasly again, or one of the Ocon potentially could get booted from Alpine if Piastri's doing really well. Although Ocon got a contract, didn't he? Never mind.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. There's plenty of drivers who would be eyeing up a seat at a factory team with lots of money.
Yes.
If Sebastian Vettel doesn't perform again.
Not technically a factory team, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing as well, isn't it, for Sebastian, it's not in the same regard as Daniel Ricciardo. I just can't help but feel for Seb, if this year's not very good and it doesn't look like Aston Martin are going to make very much progress into 2023,
he might
just think, actually, you know what, yeah, I've had enough. And to be honest,
a bit like Hacken and Dish.
Yeah, would you blame him?
No. not at all.
He's led a very strong legacy in the sport, and when you look back at the way he used to drive between 2010 and really what we
11
say
and 13 particularly.
11, 13, 15 as well.
Yeah,
very good
and 17,
season.
I think he was.
And 17 for the
decent.
most part. Yeah. 17 was definitely a car that could have fought for a world championship. 2018 was definitely the car that should have won a world championship.
Yeah.
You just think.
Yeah.
Seb probably doesn't want to do this. Again, he's got such a love for the sport, though, doesn't he, as well? It's one of the things that, again, neither of us are Sebastian Vettel fans, but I think we can both admit when he was rattling off every single world champion.
All the records have fallen. It was craziness.
You've got to think, fair play. You can appreciate
that's a long
he
time
loves
ago
the
now. Oh, yeah. And he's tried to emulate Michael Schumacher by rebuilding Ferrari. He's now trying to emulate Michael Schumacher by rebuilding a midfield team, but he hasn't done neither. He hasn't done either very well so far.
Two very different midfield teams.
Yeah, I guess. Although Benetton are now Renault or Alpine, aren't they?
Yeah.
I was going to say that Benetton are now Aston Martin, but that's
not I thought you meant Mercedes, to be honest. That's why I got thrown off.
Benetton back in the day. No, but then again, we said it many times, Aston Martin could rock up with a world-beating car and just...
You just don't know, yeah. We could genuinely be looking at the end of the year going, Seb hasn't lost any of it. Who remembers 2018? But... Yeah. And again, the thing is, like we said, neither of us are big Seb fans. But as a guy, you want to see him there, don't you?
Yeah,
You want to see a bit of that magic again, to be honest.
He does so well for the sport as well.
He is a huge ambassador for the sport.
Mm.
Exactly. So, I mean, we've spoke about two of the older guys. It's mad, isn't it, that Daniel Ricciardo was part of the old guard. Let's talk about a young driver, then, that has to deliver this year. Yuki Tsunoda. Probably, in many ways, a bit unlucky with him being one of the three rookies this year. Of course, Mick and Nikita are pretty safe at Haas if they can't go anywhere else for a couple more years. Tsunoda, though, Red Bull have got, 6 drivers in F2 this year? He has... absolutely got to perform.
You imagine if any of those drivers that Red Bull have in F2 get the super license points, they're probably on their way.
Hauger hype train, baby.
Yeah, it is going to be Hauger. But even if Lawson, who else is? I mean, I don't think Daruvula will.
Daruvula, unless Prema, and Daruvula somehow make it. I mean, Prema could completely carry, like Prema tax OP.
Yeah, I do think that Hauger or Lawson are the likely ones, but either of those will absolutely be eyeing up the AlphaTauri seat. And we've seen Red Bull do this before. They give a driver 2 years, 3 years. If they don't look like a world beater, they're gone.
Whilst they have other drivers waiting in the wings.
Yeah. So big year for Tsunoda. He picked it up a bit in Abu Dhabi, but other than that, he basically went 20 races anonymously in the middle of the season.
Yeah, at the start of the year. Basically, Tsunoda needs the entire calendar to be in the Middle East that isn't Jeddah.
Yeah. He wants night races everywhere.
Yeah.
Apart from Jeddah.
Again.
So, yeah, it's a big year for Tsunoda. I think I have faith in him improving, but then he had a good race in Abu Dhabi, like really good race in Abu Dhabi, but one swallow doesn't make a summer. No. So he's got to pick it up. Red Bull, we know how cutthroat they are, and it's been a successful policy for the most part. They've got 2 world champions out of it, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a big year for Tsunoda.
I really am not sure with Tsunoda. The thing is, again, I love the kid. I think he's brilliant. And he is really funny as well. I think he has a good personality to have in the sport. And I get a lot of people that are like, oh, look at him, he's so cute, I just want to pick him up. I'm like, yeah, no, remember, he's a professional racing driver.
He's a day older than me.
He is a day older than you, isn't he? He's younger than me. God, how depressing is that? But, yeah, I love Tsunoda being there, but for me, I just can't help but think he's going to be one of those Red Bull drivers we look at back in 5 years ago. Had he gone to this team, he could have done quite well. But he's also unlucky with the fact he's up against prime Gasly at the moment, who desperately...
Yeah, Gasly's doing so well.
Tsunoda will keep a seat if Gasly moves on, I think will be the key.
Yeah, but I think, in my opinion at least, as obviously the correspondent AlphaTauri expert, I don't think Gasly will go out of his way to look for a seat. I think it'll be a case
odd,
of,
isn't it?
Like, because AlphaTauri, unless they suddenly back markers again, he's quite comfortable there. He really likes the team, so unless he gets forced out because Tsunoda does really well and they don't want to bin him, and then you've got Hauger, Lawson, whoever coming up, then they'll probably move Gasly on, which sounds terrible because obviously they know like Gasly's a very, very good driver, but he's never going to be a world champion for Red Bull, so therefore Red Bull don't see any value in having him.
Yeah, unless of course something happens with Perez, isn't it? Could they put Gasly back in Red Bull for 23?
I still don't think they've got the humbleness, the humility. That's the word.
Yeah, very, very difficult, isn't it? Red Bull
Yeah.
are known for making some odd decisions, aren't they?
Yeah. So I think Tsunoda's basically got his destiny in his own hands. If he performs, he's going to probably keep the seat another year.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, then goodbye. Basically.
Exactly. It's very, very difficult, isn't it? But all will become clear probably by midsummer, because of course everything now gets confirmed far too early, and then we get no sort of winter hype.
Summer hype.
Yeah, no, I meant winter hype at the end of the year when all contracts aren't confirmed yet. Anything else to add though, Jamie? We've had a really good little news week, haven't we?
Yeah, surprising for the last week in January to actually have content to talk about.
It feels like we're starting to get ready for the new season now. I don't know about you, but it feels like when you compare it to Christmas, I feel like we're in early December now. You know, it's starting to you're starting to count down the days. Open. Yeah, exactly. Every day we just got that little extra piece of news now, which is becoming more and more exciting.
Yeah, so lots to look forward to. This time next week we'll be a couple of days away from car reveals. So that's
we will, won't we?
Good times are coming.
Exactly. But yeah, like I said though, of course, at the start of the podcast, you know, if you do want to check these out on Spotify, there will be links down below, of course, like I said as well. F1 merch store, definitely go have a look around. You know, Chinese New Year, like we said, few extra lines available, 20% off a lot of items on store as well, and of course McLaren's new drop. But thank you all, as always, so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, get following, everything like that, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll be back next week. We might be covering more news. If it's a really dead week, then we might be doing something else a little bit different. But Jamie, as always, just want to say thank you to you as well for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
And yeah, we'll be back next week out with more Knowing Wheel.